Okay. Okay. That's good enough. All right. Okay, sorry. Let's start. So I want to. Okay, so this is going to be the last year on Mekach, and I wanted to focus on one angle. It is Negeh Halach L'Maisa. It may not be a Negeh Halach L'Maisa for everybody, but Mekach and I know it's Negeh to everybody, but it's Negeh to a lot of people, and it's Negeh the whole Hashkafa, and it's a Geshmak Sugya. So this pasuk in Parshas Kedoshim, Perek Yotes pasuk Lamed Vav. Pasuk says Lamed Hey, Sasu Avil B'Mishpat. When you are judging, do not be dishonest. B'mida b'mishkal uva masura, when you're weighing something. So the Gemara says, so what does it mean Sasu Avil B'Mishpat? Mishpat sounds like a judge. Sasu Avil B'Mishpat. Normally the pasuk Sasu Avil B'Mishpat. Do not be, don't do an avla, disjustice. When you're judging someone, sounds like you're a judge, right? That's the lav of doing dishonest judging. Here's the paper. Judgment. When you're a dayan. If you're a dayan, don't be dishonest. So what does that have to do with b'mida b'mishkal v'masura? Right? What does it have to do with when you're weighing something? So it says the Gemara. The Gemara says, and Rashi brings it down. Milamid Rashi and Chomesh shehamoidid nikra dayan. When you're weighing out the amount of potatoes or tomatoes, when you're weighing out the amount of tomatoes per pound, at the time that you're weighing, you're a dayan now. Considered you're a dayan. He's saying it's not straight. You're a dayan.
The essentially saying don't rig the scale.
What?
They're essentially saying don't rig the scale.
Don't rig the scale, right? But what's interesting is that it's calling that the person. It's saying that the person who is weighing, the store owner at the time that he's weighing, is considered a dayan. He's judging. He's making a din now. He's judging. How much am I going to include in this person's dollar? He said $1 for a pound. How much am I going to include? And the Gemara says, She'im yeshaker b'mida, and if he's dishonest in the judgment, hareu kimekalkel asadin. It's like a judge who paskins dishonestly. V'korei avel, sonui, umeshuketz. He's called avel. He's called an avla. Crooked. Sonui. He's hated by Hashem. Meshuketz. He's disgusted by Hashem. Cherem. He's in cherem v'te'eva. V'gorim l'chamisha dvar mamur b'dayin. And someone that does that, he's sitting there and he rigs the scale, and he says, you know what? Look, he's paying for a pound of corned beef. I'll give him 95% of the pound. I mean, look, I have so many expenses, got a lot of overhead. I'll do pockets mishtos, like we said. You know what? I'll even do pockets mishar pruta. Zaz the Gemara, mitame es haaretz. He's mitame the land. Mechalel es Hashem. Mitzalik es hashchina. Umapil es Yisrael b'cherev umegale oisa me'artzam. Sounds pretty bad for a guy that was trying to save some corned beef. Right? So, like, but this is the Hakdama of the pasuk, and the pasuk then says, "Moiznei tzedek, avnei tzedek, eifas tzedek, vehin tzedek, yelachem ani Hashem elkeichem, asher otzeis yeschem me'eret Mitzrayim." So, I want to understand what this lav is. What are the parameters of the lav, and why is it so chum? So, the first thing is that there's a Gemara. The Gemara B'Metzia. The Gemara B'Metzia asks a question. Amalei Rav Yemer le Rav Ashi. Lav de Kosav Rachmana, this is Samach Aleph Amid Beis, it's the second daf in Ezer Neshech. We actually learned the Amid Aleph, Samach Aleph Amid Aleph together at the beginning of the Zman. Because the Gemara over there asks a question, I think it was probably the first year of the Zman that we learned Amid Aleph, And now the end of the Zman got to one base. So, what? Worse than this Talmud over here. So the Gemara said, the Gemara Amud Aleph asked the Kasha, do you need all three lavin of ribis, gzela, and oinah? They're all forms of stealing. Lav de kosav rachmana gabi ribis lamali, lav de kosav rachmana gabi gezel lamali, lav de kosav rachmana gabi oinah lamali. And the end the Gemara says, you're right, that you could learn out gezel from ribis v'oinah. And gezel is talking about kovish schar sacher. That's what the Gemara said in Amud Aleph. So the Gemara now goes to this pasuk. Amalei Rav Yemer le Rav Ashi. Lav de kosav rachmana b'mishkalos lamali. It's basically stealing. Basically stealing. The guy made up with you that he's going to charge you $1 for a pound of tomatoes, and he gave you $1, and you only gave him 95% of a pound of tomatoes. So it's basically stealing. What's the chiddush of the lav of mishkalos? Says the Gemara, Amalei l'toimin mishkalos b'melach. You made your weight heavier. Says the Gemara, Hainu gezel. It's the same thing. Says the Gemara, no. Lav or alav mishas asiya. You're over the lav when you prepared the dishonest weights. So definitely listen, we have to understand, what does it mean you were over the lav when you prepared the weights dishonestly? You prepared the weight. You created the weight. Right? What happens is you have a scale. This is my 1 pound bar, and you put in inside the 1 pound bar, you put in extra weight. So now it's always going to weigh down everything. So why were you over the lav at that point? You didn't steal yet. Okay? So that's the kasha on the Gemara. Let's get back to it. But this is the Gemara says, it's to add an extra chiddush. It's not just when you steal the money, it's when you're over mishas asiyah. Okay. Now, let's get to the Sefer HaChinuch. Mitzoresh Nun Ches. Sefer HaChinuch says, Shaloi lo'hoinos b'midos halach ve'al shaloi b'maznayim u'v'chlal midos u'gam ki medidas hakarka v'chol davar nimdad ben b'nei adam k'goin begadim. So whether you're measuring the weight, which is the corned beef, pastrami, or tomatoes, or whether you're weighing it in length, like fabrics, a yard, or this or that, or whether you're measuring, doing a measurement, right? You're doing a measurement by karka, right? A 2x4. A 2x4 is really a 1.5 by 3.5. Okay, I'm not exactly sure. So l'maisa, when you're measuring karka also. So now I guess you usually have a survey for that. But upirshu zal ki mesura yimidas halach ve'yavesh yimidas katana b'yoyser shu echam nilog. It's a very small measure. So says the chinuch a gavaldik chiddush v'lamadnu mikan ki aTorah hikpida ala midos b'kol shehu. That the issur of midos is even on a kol shehu. Shava b'shar gzelos. Loi takpid aTorah ela b'pruta. You only makpid on a pruta. Be'inyan hamidus takpid b'kol shehu. Unbelievable chinuch. So the chinuch says that the lav of mishkalos is worse than every other gezel. Every other gezel is only worth aser or ribis. Is only aser on a pruta. Over here, if you have dishonest weights, it's also even on less than a shava pruta. Amashi. It's not precise. Less than a shava pruta. You're over on the lav of mishkalos.
It's only aser on a shava pruta, or it's aser versus chazashir?
No, l'chara gezel less than shava pruta is not b'chal deser. I'm not saying, is it mutter to do it? I mean, it's understood to be, it's not b'chal hashavan, but it's understood to be mechila.
Could you translate all that real quick?
Basically, if you steal less than a pruta is about, what's the pruta today? Let's call it a don, I don't know.
Or like if you go with the smallest coin in they use penny, or if you go with the coin silver, which is about 12 cents.
Right, we reevaluated the pruta last year. Your father did in the first comments. We wanted to have a pruta for each schiras.
Right.
So we upgraded it. So I don't know. Pruta's I don't know, a quarter. Fine, whatever it is. So whatever a pruta is, I don't remember what pruta is. But the point is that whatever a pruta is that that's the, let's call it a value of a dime. So the understood in Chazal is that anything less than a pruta is not considered having monetary value, and therefore if you steal less than that value, it's not considered stealing. If you charge ribbis then less than that value, you're not over the lav of ribbis. By the way, a guy is. In the guy's isser of stealing, there's no shiurim, so he's not allowed to steal even less than a pruta. But a yid is allowed to steal less than a pruta, okay?
Retail value or wholesale value?
Value. What? Oh. What no.
Value for
You
that
go to
person.
the store, buy a pound of pastrami, the guy puts it in a pan that weighs a tenth of a pound, or whatever it is. He's charging now for that. For that.
The tear away that you zero it out of the pan.
Right, so if you didn't zero it out on the pan and he charged you for the if he didn't add the .01 he didn't add the .01 weight of the plastic bag that he weighed it in, and then so Lamaisa, what did he overcharge you? He overcharged you the value in pastrami of the weight of the plastic bag, right?
He's allowed to charge you for the bag.
Huh?
No, but
Charge
try,
you for the bag.
Yeah, but not if
No,
he does.
You're not allowed to charge you for the bag. You're not allowed to charge you what pastrami costs.
I've seen places that they charge you
That's
the
the Shiloh.
cost of the, because they don't want to hakas, they charge you the cost of the container, whatever was inside the container.
so you're mindful of that.
If you're
Fine,
getting
fine,
charged
fine.
$1,000,
You do that if that's what they're doing. But here they're charging you for pastrami. They're charging you for pastrami the weight of pastrami, the charge of the bag. So the value that they overcharge you is less than a pruta. Okay, so it's not considered stealing. But zok sefer chinuch, you're still over the lava mishkalis. You're still over the lava mishkalis, even less than a pruta. Unbelievable sefer chinuch. Furthermore, there's another chiddush in the chinuch, which I didn't copy here.
That's if your weights are off, or if you charge me for something that.
The weights are off, and the value that he ended up overcharging you was less than a pruta.
if
So
your-
the weight
your
is
weights
off
are
by-
off by a masher who you're.
The weight is off by a
business
mashu.
that way.
The weight is off by a mashu,
It
and
doesn't depend on the machi yashar, it's only if you're doing it the dafka.
the stomach means you weighted the weight of thing. You have to recalibrate it.
How often do you have to recalibrate it?
I don't know. There's somebody allowed to rely on chazal. It's not worse than every other. It's not worse than a mikvah. You're allowed to, if the mikvah's off by a mashu, then it's chayv kares, right? So you're allowed to rely on chazaka. So you're allowed to rely on chazaka. So you have to weigh it.
Saying the mikvah can have more than 40 sub.
If it had exactly
You
40
be careful
saws.
on the chumrah
I
side.
like to have a mikvah that has 60 subs, so I got if you have to make a 40
The
subs
point
off my
is-
mashu and you're chayav kares, you're an idiot. Like, unless you have no choice. But I'm saying,
Say,
what's a bigger
okay,
mikvah?
so you have to be precise. What do you mean? You
If
can't be
you're-
precise. Everything
What
else is
about a
precise.
mashu on either side? It's over an isser, so I mean.
Okay, so
I
this
think
is
that they
so now
When you put down something heavy on a scale, it doesn't potentially change it by a mashu.
You want to know if you didn't do b'mezid with
There's a
this?
reason why you're not chayav for chatzi shir. It's not what it.
I'm not sure the reason is what you're insinuating the reason is, but Kapanim, that's what he says. He says it's an Isser Pachas Misham Pruta. There's another Chiddush that he says here, which is that Oina, the other thing you could argue is, this is not stealing. This is all in the context of Mekach Memker, which is why I'm talking about it now. It's in the context of Mekach Memker. So you know what? If I would have beferish charged him this price, instead of charging $1 for a pound of tomatoes, you know what? I don't want to hop at this. I'll just tell him, it's $1 for 99% of a pound of tomatoes. I'm allowed to do that. It wouldn't be enough. It's less than a shtus. So it wouldn't be enough. So now that I told him it's $1 for a pound, and I'm only giving 99% of a pound, so it shouldn't be worse than enough. And enough pachs mishtos is mutter. According to the Ramban, means otherwise there's no Tzvi on it. Could be it's mutter. So says the chinuch, no. It's aser, even though it's also nishtos. And by the way, we learned that no is mutter to a guy because it says l'sanu ishas amisai. This zok the chinuch, you're not even allowed to do it to a guy. So that means the chumrah of mishkalos we're saying is it's also to a guy, it's also l'san shar pruta, and it's also even though it's pachas mishtos on and on.
It's probably better off not charging by weight.
So it's an unbelievable
Call it a
chumrah.
day.
Unbelievable chumrah. So first, the Minchas Chinuch, how could the Sefer Chinuch say this? How could the Sefer Chinuch say this? Look, it's connected the open Gemara that we started off with. Anyone have the kasha?
Only. Why do we
Meaning,
need all of these Isurim? Here the Chinuch was Machayish New Isser.
Meaning, the Gemara is mashma that if you wouldn't say the lav mishkalos, I would know it anyway because I would learn it out of Gezel and Ribis and Eino. It's not true. I wouldn't learn any of these things out of Gezel because I would think if I only learned out of Gezel, I would have thought that it's only also if you took out a pruta. Or maybe it wouldn't be also to a guy, like Ribis is not also to a guy, and I know it's not also to a guy. So there's big chidushim in the lav of mishkalos that the Torah needs to tell me. So if the chinuch is correct, then the Gemara is shver.
Well, isn't that a golda of the fact that they can't even be, if they can't even be wrong and not in use, then.
Okay, so that's my shtickle Torah. That's not what I'm saying. Hold on. So now let's go through the Shulchan Aruch a little bit, see if we pass the chinuch or not, and then we'll go to the answer to the question. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Reish Lamed Aleph. So we Baruch Hashem, we got through this man, pretty much Reish Chav Zayin, which is I know, and then we did Mekach Torah, Reish Lamed Beis, Reish Lamed Gimel, Reish Lamed Dalet. Okay, now Reish Lamed Aleph, which is in between, is this Mishkalos. So it says like this: Hamoideid, if you measure, if you're weighing, if you measure out, or shoikel, or you're weighing, Chasel Chaveron, or Yafilu Lagoy. Oiver Elilim, Oiver Belav, the Loisasu Aval Bamida Bishkov Mesur. So the Paskins like the Chinuch, the Shulchan Paskins that also to a good. And if you look at the Sma on the top, the Sma adds Afal Gav, the Inyan Oina'a, Kosvu Atur, the Einoi Oiver Ebagoy, Shanye Nodik Seva Misecha, the Gam Lesmi Mishum Gezel, the Ra Mashakana. You see, Oina'a is a lot better. Ainah is less of an isser. Why? Because Ainah, at least the guy sees what he's getting. So if you would tell the guy it's $1 for 99%, it's $1 for 99% of a pound of tomatoes, or let's say you would even tell him it's $1 for 75% of a pound of tomatoes. So it's Ainah, but he sees what he's getting. So he wants to buy it, he doesn't want to buy it. But here you told him it's $1 for a pound of tomatoes. Even if you only give him 99% of a pound, that's very little. Lemais, it's a worse isser. It's worse. Masha'inkin mida de al hemnusoi samach litein lemida shlema. Says the Sma. You know what the avla over here is? The avla is he relying on your honesty. Yeah, let's weigh it. Everything's good. You're going to pay exactly for what you get, and you end up getting less. So al hemnusoi samach. He relied on your honesty, and you're not giving him what you discussed. That ends up being a worse lav than a no or gezel. And that's why it's also even to a guy. Now, he doesn't speak out beferish, let's say Shara Pruta, but since the Chinuch brought it down, Rabbi Zalman in the Evan Elazar's Medayek, the Rambam also holds like that. So Mamela, if you wanted to say only a Pruta, you should have said it. Now, but we still have to understand why is this so. Okay? Now, by the way, look at Halacha Beis, interesting. Chayavim bezdin lahamin memunim shiyu mechazrin malachayut nuyos v'chol mi shenimtza ito mida chasera imishka chaser amaznayim mecholkolam rishon lahakoisoi v'lknoisoi kashir lebezdin. Bezdin has to enforce this. So just like Bezdin, so I was wondering, it's like interesting, but Bezdin is very, very involved in people's business. They come in, they check your weights, and they make sure that it's all good to go. So I was thinking, like, well, that's a big chiddush. So then we were learning, well, it's not big. They do that in Yeridea. You don't go to a store unless there's a kashrus on it. They come in and they check everything.
True.
They check every single thing, right? So
When it's places check every day.
What?
When it comes to the dafka the kashrus, when you go into a restaurant, I'm sure not everything's under the kashrus.
What is that mean?
He doesn't like the music, he doesn't like
I mean, there's plenty of Dvar Masur going on in restaurants.
So I'm saying, so I'm saying is that when the Bezin had power, they checked the weights of the store. That's all my point. My point is not so far fetched. That's my point.
Back in the day, they weren't playing unkosher music in the restaurant either.
About a place in the
Back in the day, there was also chicken at the restaurant. Remember Tisiyahu said, I was just listening to this shmooze in my car. Remember Tisiyahu had a whole shmooze over there about how eating is not a Jewish thing. I mean, it's Jewish to eat, but it's not Jewish to eat as making it like a whole event. It's supposed to be part of something else, but as a tachlis by itself, so it's like the whole concept of a restaurant of eating out. So this lashon was, "Oy goy wollt das nicht gemacht, a Yid was das ken nicht eingefallen." It wouldn't have been created by a guy. No Yid would have ever dreamt up this concept of eating in a restaurant. Anyway, but anyway, the point is that it's not such a far-fetched thing. The Bezin will come and check your mishkalis. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now let's go to Sif Yud Tes, because the middle of the siman he talks all about the very, very details about a lot of the simachim. Oynish hamidos v'mishkalis kosher ma'oid. It's a very, very shver aver, like we saw in Rashi and Chumash. She'i efshar lamoided or lashoikel sheker loshuv b'tshuva. Someone that ran their business this way, it's impossible for them to do tshuva. Proper tshuva, because how are they going to give back everybody the 13 cents that they stole, or that they took more for the tomatoes that they sold at the wrong price? Or for the corned beef, or the pashami, or the fabric, or whatever it is. So memela, it's not shy to really do tshuva, so it's very bad. And then he says a very strong language. Ve'arehu k'koifer b'yitzias Mitzrayim. Somebody that does not have honest weights is a koifer in Yitzias Mitzrayim. Says the Sma. Why is he koifer in Yitzias Mitzrayim? Mipnei dechol hamoi hame'avis b'midos. Because if you are having dishonest weights, who master darkoi, he's hiding. Shelo yabitu bai b'nei adam. No, he doesn't want anyone to catch him. Umehakadosh baruch hu eino misyarei, and he's not afraid of Hashem. Hashem doesn't really care about what I do. Someone that doesn't believe that Hashem watches over what I do. That's a kfir in Yitzias Mitzrayim. Sheshom nizbar goydel hashgacha shenigla lein Hashem yisbarach. Because there's where we learned out the goydel of the hashgacha. So he's a kfir in Yitzias Mitzrayim. It's a fascinating gra, because the gra usually brings where in the Shas or wherever, where is the source for this? Here the Goyin says the source is a pasuk. The source is the pasuk. It says, Moiznei tzedek, avnei tzedek, efa tzedek yelachem, and Yashem lokechem, asher tzeiss eschem eretz Mitzrayim. If you're going to believe in Yitzias Mitzrayim, then you have to have honest weights. If you don't have honest weights, you don't have Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's the Gra says. And okay? So you see the Chomer Adavar, but what's the Chomer Adavar? The Chomer Adavar is the guy doesn't believe in the Hashgacha process. So now that that's true, I'll add one more Knech and we'll get back to our Kash. There's a Gevaldika Netziv, I've said over many times, but it's a great Netziv. The Netziv goes on the pasuk in Kiseitze. In Kiseitze, this lav is mentioned again. It says Moiznei tzedek, avnei tzedek, v'hen tzedek yalach. You have to have honest weights. And then the Gemara the pasuk says right after that, Zochar is a shel shalach ha'amalek. So the Rashi brings that if a person is chayte in mishkalos, Amalek comes. So it's a strange thing because, first of all, why does Amalek come for that? And second of all, again, we have 4 types of stealing: ribis, no, gezel. Why does Amalek come for mishkalos? For this. So the Tzvi says a good thing. He says, no, every other gazel, when you want to steal, if a person steals, they steal a car, they steal this, they steal that. Why are they stealing? So he said there's 3 reasons why a person would steal. Kina, taiva, and kavod. Either you want the thing that he has, so you steal it, or you don't want him to have it, or there's a kavod involved in having that item. You want the item, you have a reason why you want the item. So it's a Yetzirah, it's a taiva. You can't control it. Really, you should buy it enough and you shouldn't pay for it. You can't afford it, so you steal it. Okay. So that's a Yetzirah issue. He says, Mishkalos, when you have dishonest weights, the Avera, you don't have the Yetzirah to gain that 13 cents. You don't need that 13 cents right now. What? You're running a store, you don't need that 13. That's taiva.
I know plates are purposely rigged because you made a cheshbon. He says,
Okay, we're gonna get to the point.
People hate
It's not the taiva that I need that particular 10 cents right now.
I'm gonna buy 500
Okay,
people weighing
the
it.
idea is that if I run my business honestly, I'm not gonna have parnasa. I'll be able to make a lot more money if I run my business dishonestly. Hence the title. If I run my business dishonestly, then I'm going to have a lot more money. And then I have to set up my business in a way that I can make the money that I need. In other words, he doesn't believe Hashem can be mefarnes him if he runs his business honestly. So Mamela, it's only the aggregate of the 500 times. It's not the one little thing that he's doing. In other words, the taiva of this thing is not a taiva to get the money that you're stealing right now. The Yetzer Hara comes from a lack of emunah that Hashem can't be mefarnes you in your business. It's a whole different shirish.
I'm saying a guy can be making $1 million and still be
Okay, because he doesn't think he can make that $1 million if he does it honestly.
I won $1.1 million.
Okay, because he doesn't think he can make that money if he does it honestly. Why does he want? Of course he wants the money.
Whatever money I
But the
can
point
make
is,
honestly, I can make more dishonestly.
okay, so whatever his business is going to produce, he doesn't think that his business is going to produce it if he follows the regular path. Hashem can open up the doors and give you the 1.1 if you do it honestly too, because more people can come to your store, right? So if he would have emunah on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to use the channels and he's going to give him what he needs, and what he's coming to him, he won't do this.
And
So it comes from a shirish
We have a
of
concept of
kfir.
Ishtadas and Derech HaTeva. I could also sit at home and do nothing and expect that Hashem's going to make me money.
No,
So,
fine, but I'm making money through this business.
Right,
So
correct,
now-
but I'll make more if I'm dishonest. It's not a lack of betachon. I believe Hashem could give me $1 million, he could give me $2 million. Whatever is going to be Derech HaTeva, if I do dishonest, I'll get some more.
No, but
It's
I'm
just
not
a
going to
lack
make
of
more.
belief
If I know
all
that
the
Hashem's
money-
going to give me whatever I'm going to get, I'm not going to get more by doing it this way. So obviously, the point that what's driving the person is that he feels he's in control of determining how much he's going to make. It's the lack of emunah in how HaKadosh Baruch Hu mefarnes him that's driving him to do this. So Mamela, that lack of emunah, that brings a malik. A person steals because they want a car. That's a good Yetzer Hara, but that's a Yetzer Hara, but that's not what brings a malik. A malik is the lack of emunah in the lack of emunah, and that's what the Shema is saying. Is by mishkolais you're koyfer b'tzias mitzrayim, not by stealing. It doesn't say that if you steal you're koyfer b'tzias mitzrayim. It says avon mishkolais you're koyfer b'tzias mitzrayim. Now, so according to all this, when is the yesoid of the isser happening? This is what Rabbi Zalman's machadash over here. When did the guy do the isser? So here's the Gemara's chiddush. The Gemara says, why do you have to have the lava of mishkalis? Right? Why do you have to have the lava of mishkalis? So the Minchas Chinuch asks, of course you need the lava of mishkalis, because the lava of mishkalis includes in it goy, includes in it less than a shava pruta, less than a shtos, includes a lot of chidushin. Lava of mishkalis is very broad. So, what did the Gemara answer? The Gemara said, "Lavra alav mishas asiyah." You're over the lav when you set up the machine to be dishonest. You program the machine. You program the machine to be at negative 0.01 or whatever, plus 0.01. So when you program the machine that way, at that point you're over the lav. That's what the Gemara says.
So what
How
law
can
is
it
at
be-
the sale?
What?
What law is over
Oh.
at the sale?
So it's mishas asiyah. That means you were really over the lav already, and it's continuous through till the sale's finished. So that means if you're over mishas asiyah, what's the Gemara telling me? That the fundamental principle of the lav is not taking his money. It's setting up your business to be dishonest. That's what the Gemara is saying. Right? Because with the second that I set up the scale at the 0.01, right, I'm over the lav. I didn't take any money yet. As a matter of fact, it's 4 a.m. No one's in the store yet. No one's in the store. There's no tomatoes being sold, and I'm over a lav. So the Gemara is telling me that the lav of mishkos has nothing to do with taking the money. That's cool for the chiddush of the Gemara.
If
So
you never
I
open your
think-
store that day and you don't make any sale, or no one buys tomatoes, no one buys
No,
anything.
if you're just playing around with the scale, then mishas asiyah it says.
Oh, he set it up and then
I'm
just
saying set it up and no one comes to buy anything.
Oh.
My
Oh.
store burns down in a fire.
Because
So,
you did
so
this.
am I over an isser?
You did true with me?
No.
Now
now we will work, Senator
We'll
Shannon.
force the tshuva.
That's why the store
Oh,
burnt
you're over the
down.
lav, yeah. I mean, there's a separate lav that you're not allowed to even have it in your house. That's if you bought it. But here is Mishas Asiyah. That's the one that say, Lo Yelacha, you're not allowed to have Avodah Zarah. I never served it. That's lav. In the economy. The lav is Mishas Asiyah. So,
Which law?
the lav of Mishkalos. Lo Yisasu Avon B'Mishkal, that's the Gemara is saying. Because the fact that when I sit there weighing it, I'm over, of course I'm over, that's included in Zela. The extra Chiddush is Mishas Asiyah. Right?
That goes by intention, or if I'm adjusting my weights every time I adjust them over a lot now, or?
No. In Mishas Asiyah, in order, you're setting up a system that's made to be dishonest. You know,
Also,
obviously.
you know, you're talking about
You need to have kavana.
Mishas hatmanav afilu lo shakal behem, says Rashi. Even if you never ended up using it.
Is there a second law of Zela at the sale?
That's
So,
included in
if
Zela.
it's more than a pruta.
So maybe Memela, I want to say that that's kuva the teretz to that. The Gemara is answering the Minchas Chinuch's teretz. The Minchas Chinuch asked, why didn't the Gemara say that the chiddush of Mishkolos is for less than a sharp bruta? What's the Yisrael? Why is it us less than a sharp bruta? Why is it us to a guy? Because it's not about the victim. Every other gezel, the Torah cares about the victim, right? By ribis, the neshech. It's a neshech. The Gemara says you're biting the loiva. The guy needs to borrow money. He has to make a chasana. He has no money to his name, and now you're sitting there. You're noishech him, right? So it's we're protecting the victim. No, the guy doesn't know. He's a vulnerable guy. The seller is a lot more knowledgeable. So we're protecting the victim. In the case of Mishkolos, it's not so much about the victim. Because the guy, he got a little less pastrami, a little more pastrami. It's not so much about the victim. It's much more about the shoikel, the guy that's doing it, because the guy that's doing it is a dayan, the Gemara says. That's the whole thing we started. He's a dayan. When was he a dayan? He was a dayan when he set up, it's not about stealing, it's about the weighing, it's about the maisa, it's about how you're setting it up. So if a person is doing Mishas Asiyah, then the Torah is teaching me right there, that's the Gemara's teretz, is that the lav is about the person, how he's setting it up. It's a lav independently of the victim. I feel like shakal behem. It's a lav about how he's setting up the thing. So of course it's also less than a pruta or for a guy. It has nothing to do with the other person. The yisod of the lav is is not to protect the victim. The yisod of the lav is how the person himself has to run his business. That does state in the Gemara. That the Gemara means to say b'shas asiyah. So male included in that is if he sets it up to be less than a pruta off, it's also over. Now, if he ends up doing it,
if you set it up to be right and then it loses its calibration, I don't have a field to recalibrate it. I never set it up wrong.
no, maybe then you're understand the gas on part.
But it's less than a shower pruta.
This is-
so I'm fine.
Less than a pruta, you mean?
So I don't have to be
This is
calibrated.
not the way that they
Even
had their
though after
scales.
time
What?
it was.
The way that we keep talking about where you're setting up, that's not how they had their scales. They had real scales.
Right, and they
They
had
had
a
a
weight.
1 pound weight. If you left it in salt, it would corrode and erode, and it would be less than a pound. So it's not just these like little that's what we're really talking about.
Yeah, but
And
you want to
obviously
know.
it
You want to
applies.
know what happens. How often did you have to check even that?
That's the thing.
thing?
I didn't
Probably
set up
gets
my
plugged out eventually.
I didn't set up my Amazon business to do things illegal, but things happen along the way.
But then-
Close mine is less than a shower pruta, I'm fine. Right? And as close as it's a guy, I'm fine.
That's what you're fighting over. Let's
No, I'm saying,
fine.
wait.
The
No,
Kiddush-
but less than a shower pruta over 1,000 sales is gonna,
Okay,
1,000 sales a day is gonna do great money. Close mine, I
I'm
don't
saying
set
the
up my.
Mechas Chinuch holds a sakamotar. I'm trying to explain. So where is this? The Isser is included in the Gemara's teretz Mishas Asiyah.
I mean, I set up my business honestly. I let my employees do their thing, and okay, whatever they do, and so my they're making commission, and I make more money on it. But I didn't set it up dishonestly. I'm not.
What does
I'm
that
not,
mean? You're Lemaisa.
Meaning I
If it's shoygig, it's shoygig. If it's mazin, it's mazin.
No, but
If you
Mason on what? What am I
mazin
Mason?
on,
What
then I know that it's less than a pruta off, and I'm doing
I
it.
didn't set it up that way though.
No, I am. I'm doing it right now.
I mean, it sounds like you have to have a Maisa of setting up. The only Isser is setting up.
Like he said, let's take literally what the words. Mishas Asiyah means I prepared a weight to steal less than a pruta.
No,
Now
I'm saying-
I'm over the lav of mishkalis, and l'chara
And
every time I use
No, it
it,
was an example.
l'chara every time I use it,
My weight was accurate.
Mishas Asiyah, and every time I use it, I am continuing that lav of
Whatever
Asiyah.
My
the
weight was
industry
accurate
rules.
10 years ago when I started.
Whatever
Now
the
Pashas is
industry
not.
Now
rules
Pashas, you-
to
what-
check.
So where's my answer? What point did I do an answer?
Oh,
Whatever the
when
industry
you
normal
purposely
would
made
be
the
to
weight,
check.
it's
I
not
didn't
correct.
purposely make it. It was.
Then you weren't over the
100%
issue.
10
You
years
didn't
ago.
make the
You
weight.
didn't do what you did do it. If it's mazin, it's mazin. If you know, you know.
If it's something you need an action here.
No,
the
Mishas
action of the
Asiyah
Zela,
is
the
telling me.
Zela is not an
No,
Isser.
what I'm saying is Mishas Asiyah is showing me the fundamental principle of love more than Gezel. Mishas Asiya is a Giloi, that the whole love of Mishkolos is not about the stealing. It's about the Maisa of creating the weight and also weighing it. If you weigh it also, it's going to be a problem.
If I set it on legal weight.
If a guy brings, I didn't make it. Okay, my friend called me. Hey, I have a weight for you. You're gonna want this one. It's perfect. It looks like a pound. It's really not. You want it? Yeah, I want it. Okay, so I have the weight. Every time I use it, so now I'm doing a mice of a dayan. I'm weighing something which is less than a pruta off. So I'm doing that isser of it's included in isser shasasiyah. Shasasiyah is telling me that the isser of mishkalos, is not about the stealing. It's about the diet. The Gemara calls it. The pasuk says he's a diet. When is he a diet?
Every sale then.
It's an isser every
That's
sale.
interesting. Right, by Avodah Zarah we have making and having and serving. So here
There isn't a isser to have it. It says well yellow.
That's kis. That's
Right,
kis-
that's an isser of having. This isser of weighing is mishas hasiyah, but when you're weighing it, also you're doing the isser. That's why you're a dayan every time. Right now, the Gemara calls it a dayan, not a dayan. When you're about to, when you're walking into someone's house and you steal something, you're not a dayan. Am I going to steal it or not right now? But here, every time you weigh, the pasuk is calling you a dayan. I mean, I'm about to enter into a mishpat, and I'm deciding to do a crooked.
But that's one isser, but not necessarily every sale then. The
No,
isser is-
because now I'm entering into the sale again.
But
So now is that it? Zalman says,
It's gazela. It's every sale's gazela, but that's not mishkalos.
no, it is.
Why
It
is
is
it
mishkalos because it is mishkalos because I'm doing this sale that
the
way.
isser isn't the
I'm-
gazela, it's
No,
not in the
I'm
gazela.
saying
It's
no,
in
but
the
I'm doing a new
second
din.
business.
I'm doing a new din by the new customer. By this customer, I'm also doing the din for him. So Rabbi Zalman says, there's another kasha here.
Say anus or chalas or only gazela that's less than sharp
It is chalas. So the Gemara says.
So you're saying that.
So
Fine.
it says here,
But every
the
sale.
Rambam, listen, I want to theorize with this. The Rambam says that you don't get malchus for this. Mipnei shu chayev v'tashlumin. It's a principle that whenever you could pay back, you're not chayev malchus. So Rabbi Zalman asks that if you do it on less than a pruta, you can't pay back because the din is that less than a pruta is not nitnu tashlumin. So therefore, if the Rambam held like the chinuch? So why is the Rambam saying that less than a pruta you don't get malchus because you could pay back? You can't pay back less than a pruta. So Zalman says with this yisoid, basically, according to the principle that we're saying, he says that the kivan the ikar isser mishkalis, the isser of mishkalis happens b'shah shemoided, at the time that you set it up. So the guy comes in with the pastrami, and you have the pound here, which is really only 90% of a pound, and you weigh it. Okay, I have the pound, and then you wrap it up, good to go. He didn't go to the cash register yet. So, were you over?
Yes.
You were over.
You were over 2 weeks ago when you set it up.
Yeah, but you didn't set it up. You just did it right now. You're over 2 weeks ago, and you're over now because you're over now. That's before you take the money. So you were dying. You made a din, and you dined him that you going to give him 90% of the pound. So you're over already. So Zalman said, so you talk over before you stole the money. Right? At that point, you could still decide. You know what? I'm going to throw in another 2 slices of pastrami.
You do tshuva.
And the tshuva. So it's not nitin l'tashlumin because it's like I'm fixing the problem before I steal it. But I was over the law because I was over the law when I waited. So between the weighing and the paying, between the weighing and when he goes to the counter, you could fix the problem even less than a pruta. It's not called nitin l'tashlumin.
But you
It's
could
called
do,
giving him his full value.
no, you could do tshuva, but you were still over the original isser
But
of
that's
when
why
you
you
made
don't
the
get
thing.
because it's nitin l'tashlumin,
Right.
even less than a pruta. You know, normally if I steal, I don't have to return to you less than a pruta. But if we weighed something and it's off by less than a pruta, on the way to the cash register, I throw in another slice of pastrami to make up the difference. Now I fixed the problem.
That's if we assume less than a pruta is a
That's what
situation.
he's saying.
but
Less than a
if-
pruta, you're over.
That's a gazela, but we never said that less than a sharp pruta is an issue.
No, mishkalis. Listen, forget. Less than a pruta is not a problem of gzela, but it is a problem for mishkalis because we're saying the whole problem is that you're being dishonest. So Mamela, like you said, shemul. The second that you stood behind the counter and weighed it out and packed it up for him and put the sticker on, you're over the law already. Even before you charged him. So there's no gazel. But, Dr. B'Zalman, at that moment, you don't get malchus yet. Why? Because you can still...
You have the opportunity to
It's
return.
mishas asiyah. The chiddush is, it doesn't have
That's
to
not
be
when
the
you're
stealer.
giving him the pastrami. It's before he even came into. Wife told him to go to the store to buy
That's
something.
also, if you have a dishonest weight, but then you sit there and wait, you're over on this mishkal right now. You're over a lot because you set up, you tried to steal from him. You tried to set up, you donned him incorrectly. So
Just say you can fix the weights before your first customer walks in.
that's also true, of course. But no, but that's not nitin l'tashlumin. The Rambam says it's nitin
That's
l'tashlumin.
not me either. You're just saying you can fix it before he's.
No,
before
so
you
what's
say
the
that.
tashlumin? That's Rabbi Zalman's chiddush. He says since I could go, he says like this: v'darshu chazal shehamoided when you weigh nikradayim. Im kain loy domi kam in gazel. The eno chayav l'tashlumin. The haka b'shosha moided. The second you weighed it, you're over. But the gezela only happened later. So I could fix that before I ended up actually stealing it, even
Before
though
the
it's
customer walks in, you can fix it.
What?
It's not that you can give him extra. I mean, you could also give him extra better, but you could fix it before the customer walks in.
No, I understand, but then the Rambam wouldn't say the reason why you're not over is because nitl tashlumin. He's saying a case. What does the Rambam mean? It's nitl tashlumin. The Rambam is saying it. You could be mashlim it by paying him back the pastrami that you
That's
didn't
not
give
tashlumin
him.
either. It's not real
Okay, so
tashlumin.
he's saying that you're right. It's a
Nitl
little bit.
tashlumin could also mean you're
It's
fixing
not-
the weight before the customer walks in the store. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you set the weight wrong, and you're opening up at 8, and at 7:30 you fix it. That's nitl tashlumin the same way you're giving pastrami.
Okay, maybe you could say that also.
I mean, the isser isn't when you weigh it. The isser was when you set the weight initially. When you weighed it, when you
That's
calibrated
that
it.
isser. But then there's an isser on being a dayan when you're weighing. When you're weighing it out, there's an isser being a dayan. So there's an isser being a dayan, and mishas asiyah, and then the mishas asiyah shows me that the isser is the weighing it, the making a dishonest sale, even if you never took the money. And Mamela, the chiddush is that you could tashlumin on that. That's his chiddush. Fine. Al Kapanim, what do you see from all of this?
Once for setting it up wrong. Once for setting it up wrong, and one is trying to.
And each medid there's a ma'aseh din. That's what Gemara said.
What isser am I doing?
You're being
I
moided.
did an isser. I did an isser.
You did that isser. All of that, as I'm saying, all that's included in Mishas Asiyah. That's all included in it. That's what the Gemara means. The Gemara means is Mishas Asiyah is every time you're moided.
If let's say it was more than a shavuot fruit, we say he doesn't have to return it to begin his followers.
It's just every time you, every step of the thing is a problem.
Like if the isser
Loy,
is the
the
mice
Gemara
when
says,
you
the
sell
pasuk
it.
is, Loy sasu avil b'mishpah.
Hourly service.
So there's an avil b'mishpah. When you weighed it, you did an avil b'mishpah right there. You did an isser Mishas Asiyah, included in that, Loy sasu avil b'mishpah. So, Al Kapanim, there's a whole nother piece over here. Is that till now we were talking about Mekach Toys, I know, which means I'm trying to trick, but I'm trying to trick very overtly, and it's Mekach Toys, and he's gonna find out eventually, and it's not a good item, is it a good item, whatever. This is a whole different type of thing, where the person is setting up his whole business in a way that is dishonest. He's trying to trick the people, and it's very clear from all these makuras that it's a lot more hammer to do that because it's a fundamental chesaron in a person's emunah and how they live their life, and it's shaykh to the whole in Yitzias Mitzrayim. So we talk about Yitzias Mitzrayim and Pesach and emunah. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Very simple. You don't have to get so lofty. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and therefore he runs your life as well, and it should determine and affect the way every person lives every part of their life. Be'ez Hashem, we shall be zocheh that through our actions we should be mechazik our emunah and be zocheh to be as Kollel Tzedek Meir Ratmeinu. Shkoyach all for a good zman. I don't think we're going to share it next Sunday, and we'll start a new topic after Pesach. Yeah.
Is there a show next Sunday?
I don't think so. Maybe it'll be a Pesach topic. Maybe a Pesach Sunday. But after the shir on Monday, after the shir on Thursday, it looks like maybe we should learn a smachta next. People going wild about it. Yeah. A lot of people came over to me afterwards. I think I agreed. I don't get it.
All right. Can't wait. I don't know. Go ahead. So you figured it out last night?
Yeah.
It's been a long night.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody remembers, like years ago, we went over in Blejer, and that's, I ended up opening a nicer account. So it's going, there's.
Correct, so
It's not like,
that is what I.
you don't know if you could give it in the end of the day, so just start Chumash into that account.
And then just keep track. Maybe one month with a track so that.
Because you technically, you owe it back.
You're totally wrong. Huh?
You mean,
I think you put.
press done?
Are you sure you want to stop streaming? I just hit the X, yeah?